Hello everyone, this is Rich. I am a developer and a mentor at Thinkful, and I'm putting this video together because I've spoken to a lot of new Rails developers who have gone through various exercises, built actually fully functioning apps through those types of courses, but are still not fully following exactly what's going on when you create routes in an application. So I just wanted to kind of go right back to the fundamentals and especially take away a lot of the Rails magic that happens and explain certain concepts and things that Rails does for you, but it then can make it hard to start from a blank slate. So just to kick off, I know diagrams get super kind of confusing and abstract, and it's not always the easiest thing to follow, but you've probably seen this quite a lot. The main thing, though, to take away from this is that the route is such an important part of the application. If and especially in these server rendered applications, kind of the type of things you build when you're building fully in Rails, if your browser had no JavaScript, you disabled it, the only way a user could ever interact with your application would be through a route. That's it. And a route is it's this endpoint that is put in the address bar of a browser. So it's really important that you understand that when you're in your address bar, this might say google.com, everything after the slash is the only real way that you interact with the application. And most of the time, of course, the user doesn't actually type that in the address. They're clicking on a link or they're clicking on a button in a form. And that's really just going to another endpoint. So this is the only real way a user communicates with your app. So understanding how to build that from the very beginning, very important. So the thing about a route, though, as well to know is that a route is made up of a unique pairing of the method, also known as like the HTTP verb, and the endpoint itself, which is just the structure of everything after that slash. So you can only have one unique route that pairs a get verb with this specific URL. Now you can put other verbs in front of it. That could be put, post, delete, etc. But the unique pairing is very important. And then what a route does is it specifically says go to this controller and this action on the controller. It's a very that you can have multiple routes go to the same controller action, but which is generally quite rare. But whatever your route is doing, it is very specifically going to a controller action. And then another thing that might always be apparent, especially because Rails hides it, is that it always renders a view. The reason this doesn't seem so obvious is because in a controller on Rails, if you don't say render a view, it will choose where to render it instead by convention. But you can always choose to render something else entirely that doesn't match the convention. So understanding how to do that and when to do that, very important. And then finally, the view will always just spit out a new piece of HTML in your browser that will have other links that will go to other routes. So there was one other piece to cover in that in Rails, specifically Rails, it provides what's called helpers. You've probably heard of helpers in terms of view helpers, form helpers. Helpers are really just a Ruby method, a named Ruby method that you call and it will execute a block of code for you. So these helpers get attached to your route, and it's a way to say, okay, anytime I want to call this specific route, the get posts route, I can use this posts underscore path, and that will send through to this route. So instead of having to explicitly write out the route, you can use the helper.